I feel you crumble in my arms down to your heart of stone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Brady's Speech Tea, episode 169, for those who are counting. Yep, we've had a bit, but we got a lot to say about our movie for the week this week. It is The Crow in 2024, but we're opening up with Tell Me What You Want by Post Malone, featuring Ozzy Osbourne and Travis Scott, which is a featured song in the trailers and stuff like that from the movie. We're also going to be talking some Kite-Man, Hell Yeah, and also Marvel's Hit Monkey Season 2 dropped. It took us a minute, but we got around to it. I'm excited to talk about all of that with everybody. If you're joining us on Facebook, or if you're joining us on YouTube, or wherever you found your audio on the podcast, we always appreciate the support. I'm Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, what is up? How was your Labor Day? How have you been, man? It's been a few weeks.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been on. Everything's all right. Can't complain. I want to take this time, very somber moment of sadness for all New York City teachers going back to work today, as I did. So if you're listening and you went back to work today like I did, I'm sorry. But I hope you guys have. I'm hoping everyone has a great year. But yeah, good to be here. I also want to say a little something. I feel it's my obligation. Is I did actually watch this show, and we've decided not to cover it because it's been canceled. Little RIP for the Dead Boy Detective Agency. I'm going to just give a tiny little sliver of it because I watched it when it first came out. We were supposed to cover it, and then it got shuffled under. But, not a bad show. Not a great show, but not a bad show. I kind of like the dynamic between the two dead boys. It's weird because they were stuck in America, like, by the King of Cats. It was very Neil Gaiman. It was very odd. I'm surprised it got canceled because though I didn't love it, I did like it. I thought it would have found an audience. I mean, especially with the homoeroticism between one of the dead boys who was clearly in love with the other. And I thought that would get people hooked, but it didn't. So there you go. So R.I.P. To the Dead Boy Detective Agency.
Yes, and you actually finished it. I was only 1 or 2 episodes in, and I think I kept getting sidetracked, and I know we were discussing off air, when we wanted to get around to it, and we just never did. I thought it was
forgot
pretty,
about it.
I honestly did too. I didn't. The promotion for it, I didn't think was great. I mean, the fact that it kind of went over both of our heads and stuff like that was something. But yeah, I was also kind of surprised, especially I feel like a lot of things that Netflix get at least the second season and see what happens.
And especially because the Sandman was so popular, and I know it's not a direct thing, but it's Neil Gaiman, right? Like it's in the Sandman. Actually, no, it is in the Sandman universe because fucking Death shows up, and it's Death from the actress that they got from the Sandman universe. So it completely is. So that's why I was shocked it didn't even get a second season.
Well, there was also, I did read, I didn't get up to the episode, but apparently, is it Night Nurse? Or whoever was also in this and it was the same actress from Doom Patrol, but was not, it wasn't supposed to be. It was weird. Same actress playing the same character, but not a continuation from Doom Patrol. So I think is a little confusing, but
I think that gets back to what we talked about on the Neil Gaiman episode, the Sandman episode, with the rights. DC owns some of the rights, and because they bought, I think it was Vertigo Comics. Sandman first came out in, I think DC can do certain things, but this wasn't a DC property. It was something else. So that's what I think. I think it's a rights issue.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I personally wouldn't have cast her in the role then. I would have just started fresh and went with somebody else there. But it doesn't seem to matter now. I mean, unfortunately. But,
moot point.
I do think I'm going to still probably finish it before Sandman Season 2, because in case there's anything that I don't want to miss, any kind of acknowledgments or anything like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we'll have some time where our load will be a little bit lighter there, and then I can go ahead and start knocking those out.
Yeah,
See
maybe we
what's
get
up.
back to it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, though, we do have a full show tonight, so let's just get to it. Got some Kite-Man. Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Since we were off for a little bit, there are 3 episodes out right now that we did not discuss.
But it's Kite-Man. God, I can go through this 3 minutes, a minute an episode.
It's not I'm going to tell you the truth. I think before you get into leave through more details, I watched 2 of them today.
Oh, okay. I watched one of them today.
Yeah. Over these 3 episodes, it was really, I mean, I guess it's something we talked about too. Bane is front and center in this show.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He's a scene stealer for me constantly.
Every single time. Like, that's the thing, is like, I knew they couldn't let Bane was the only character on the Harley Quinn show who had the ability to upstage Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and they couldn't let him do it. But now they put him on Kite-Man, and it is the Bane show, and I fucking love it.
So it was episode 6, right? That's when her mother, Glider's mother, was there, and
it's the daughter date.
It's a daughter date episode, right? Where Malice comes along and is kind of like steals the thunder, and Glider's not having it and everything like that, and you find out her mother's pretty shitty in general.
Yeah, not a good person. Like, completely, like, does everything that she was supposed to do with her daughter, does with Malice, and pretty much tells Glider, like, yeah, it's because you're boring. Like she's really mean to her about it. Like,
yeah,
and she says, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be your mother. It's really hard to watch.
It is. It's pretty fucked up, and I'm glad that's at least where we got some comic relief, because like Bane is in love with her, and he's trying to find out ways, but then ends up hooking up with the dominatrix that he did in the Valentine's Day episode from Harley Quinn,
which I loved, and I shipped them. That's who he belongs with.
Yeah,
she gets him. She likes him for who he is. He can be Mr. Businessman explosion, micromanaging, and be fucking this dipshit Bane, and she still likes him. I ship those 2. At the end, when Bane is no longer being used as a character when these shows end, I want them together.
You want the happy ending for Bane? Like, he actually,
yes,
I can see that. All right, I can get along with that too as well.
I think Bane has earned his happy ending at this point.
Yes, I think he has, and it's pretty funny though. But how many references they get, because he says something along the lines of like, that he was really impressed that she was okay with him, even though he says he fucked her building.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I was embarrassed. That Bane is so charming. Like, I know it's a comedic version, but it is my favorite Bane because he's so damn earnest and charming and lovable. Like,
and we're talking about Bane.
Of course we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that one was also. And actually, another thing that I thought stood out was the whole thing with that character Six Pack, when he was watching a porn that was like Mother-Daughter Day and was kept on wanting them to like do whatever it is that he saw in the
I forgot
movie.
about that. Yeah, that was
He's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, he's a disturbing guy.
And what? So I'm trying. Yeah. So that episode pretty much kind of like.
Yeah, that's that episode, and then that leads us into my favorite of these 3, which is the sexiest Gotham sexiest man of the year or sexiest villain of the year.
Well, actually, though, what happens at the end of the other through line through episode 6 though was, because it sets up 7, is that his Glider's mother tells Kite-Man that he's basically shit because he doesn't have a superpower.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yes.
he ends up going to Noonan, who, by the way, all of a sudden randomly became the bartender again at the bar he sold. Sounds very Sam Malone-like.
Yeah, you know who that voice is, right?
Is it him? No,
it's not him. That's it's the guy. It's Mike from Breaking Bad.
Oh,
Walter.
okay, all right. Okay, no, all right.
No, it wasn't Sam.
No, I was like, wow, really? I was like, if that was Ted Danson, I really went over my fucking head, which I thought would have been genius.
I mean, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
But he ends up going to was it Victoria Villigan and getting a superpower, and she gives him the douche power. That apparently he can give things the finger, and pants fall, and they get wedgies, and they do douchey things, and he becomes this super beast mode, and he becomes this like growing douche guy, and Glider hates him now, and basically tells him to get out, and he's like thinks he's too good for her now, and that's where it leads into episode 7, where
where we get up, but very, very important thing in episode. Oh no, this happens in episode 7. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was getting ahead of myself, but I think like we get the whole thing about him becoming the douche bro, and that's great. But I think actually the most important storyline in this one is the B plot, which is Malice trying to like redo Bane because he's up for sexiest villain of the year. And it's just, again, Bane is a scene stealer. It's watching him with the fashion. And then, like, she finds the anti-life equation in the bar where Lex put it in the first episode.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I recognize what this is. The best accessory for Bane. And then Bane's walking around. I mean, but that's the most important because the anti-life equation is brought to the party because of this.
Yep. And I'm glad that they picked that up too, because that's kind of been sitting there, and and that's where I guess everything kind of like shit hits the fan there, because they want the suitcase back. It's Lex and I think her name is Victoria Villigan.
I think it's Victoria Villigan.
Yeah, right. Like they start begrudgingly working together to get the anti-life equation from him, but he doesn't even know he has it, and at the end of the episode, she ends up getting Kite-Man ends up returning by the end of it, and the power gets taken away, but Glider and Kite-Man end up, going on a run to, because everyone's looking for them.
Yeah. So I thought that was a super fun like scene, like her, like him growing out, her not giving up on him, and I love because this is why Victoria Villigan does this, right? She's manipulating him, and I love the progression of Kite-Man. And you don't realize what I forget he's a villain. He's such a good guy. Like someone did something villainous in one of these episodes, and I went, "Oh my god!" I mean, is Kite-Man still gonna run with them? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, right. Okay, he's a villain, right? I forget because he's such a nice guy, but when he becomes douche bro, like he's having that moment of like, oh, you know what? She's not good enough for me. That's what it is. Like, and to see him like that, it really made me go, wow, I kind of actually like Chuck.
Yeah, and Chuck is also fighting his way through, right? Because he starts having these spaz out moments where he starts going back to Kite-Man from beast mode and is asking for help and is asking to be saved to get the hell out of there. And that's what encourages her to go ahead and to track down Villigan and return him. But she also, there's a side effect of the anti-life equation that she's able to control her power now.
Yeah.
Glider, right? Like, so she's just not completely aimlessly murdering every time she gets upset. So it actually is kind of a good thing for her, but yet, obviously it's an evil thing that's kind of like, distorts the person who has it.
Yeah, and we see that in this episode, but it does harken back to, I think, something her mother said to her was like, when she said, "Why'd you leave?" She's like, "Because you were scary." Like she tells Glider, like, you lost it. You killed your dad. Like, I was scared. And so every Glider's motivation to get once she gets this, and how it kind of starts to corrupt her. It really is, and I thought that was very clever. Like, it's not just it gets in your head and corrupts you because it's evil. It uses what you want, and the reason it doesn't affect Kite-Man is because he doesn't want anything. He had the douche bro power and he hated it, and now he just wants his kite back.
Yes, because he traded it in for the superpower, because apparently that's what Gilligan wanted in exchange for giving him superpower.
Yeah, which I thought was, brilliant, because that is his identity. She took his identity.
Yeah, exactly. So then I guess that in episode 8, right, like, is where we find them on the run, and then that was the reintroduction for, damn it, what's the character, the plant?
Sid, I don't know. It's something short, but I forget. But he, why did Kite-Man trust him?
I don't know.
The evil plant pet of your ex-girlfriend who left you at the altar? Come on now.
It's Helen Villigan, by the way. That's
played Helen.
That's, by the way, voiced by Judith Light of Who's the Boss?
Get the fuck out of here. That's Judith Light?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I love Judith Light. As everyone should who watched that.
Yes, of course.
Who's the Boss?
By the way, at what point do you think we're getting Darkseid back?
Last episode.
Okay, because
I think that's the season cliffhanger.
Yeah, because he's got to come back to now. The anti-life equation's like out in the open. That's his whole thing.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is, because all right, so like let's go through it. She starts to turn. Glider has a very similar thing that he did when he was dude growing out. Poison Ivy's pet plant, who now runs a spa. Okay, I'm okay with it. I love that guy anyway. Gives them shelter. They find out. He finds out they have the anti-life equation. Completely sells them out. Glider is like second, a couple of thoughts away from ditching Chuck. And Kite-Man realizes okay, she did this for me. I have to do that for her. And they have a moment where they go to this nuclear power plant, and he wants to drop it in, and she doesn't, or react, or rather. And he kisses her, and pretty much does for her what she did for him. I think that's a really cute, I'm going to save you right back, And they drop the anti-life equation. And then everything gets destroyed except the anti-life equation. I think it erupts and it gets destroyed. It burns, whatever. And the only thing left at the end is the briefcase with the anti-life equation. And they're just like, oh, fuck. And so I think now that it's out, Lex is going to get it. Mm-hmm. And then Darkseid's going to come down. And I think what's going to happen is they're, the team is going to have to use Malice, who's kind of grown fond of them, to try to stop it. That's my prediction.
That sounds about right. It'll put her in the middle because it's got to be the main driving force of why she's been there this season, right? That's why you plant the character
right
there.
And just his daughter.
Exactly. It was Frank.
It's going to be something like what is it?
Frank.
Oh, Frank. I knew it was just an ordinary name.
Yeah, it was Frank by J.B. Smoove.
Yeah, he's. That character always makes me laugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I also do think that throughout these episodes, as much as the crazy shit's been going on, there is a lot of heart in there, serious stuff between Glider and her mom. And actually, another thing we didn't touch on was when we find out when Kite-Man's about to give up his kite. We find out through flashbacks his origin of how he has the kite and why he has the kite.
Right.
Which I'm like, man, this is actually, again, for such a crass, over the top show, it does know it has its moments where it knows where to bring some heart into it.
And I think that's why Bane works so well in this context, better than he did in the Harley Quinn show. Because I think he really shines here. And I think it's because Harley Quinn is your over-the-top protagonist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've said on the show, her superpower is knowing that she is a very profitable IP in the comic book world and cannot die. That's the character's superpower. But Kite-Man is not over the top. Like when she's over the top and Bane's over the top, it's like, okay, they're vying for it. But
yeah,
Kite-Man never goes over the top. Kite-Man is kind of a softie, and you're right. There is all of this heart to it, and I think there's more heart to this show than there is Poison Ivy, and I love that show. But I think this has a bit more heart to it. And it's because the center of it is this kind of guy who we met him because he fell in love with Poison Ivy, and he didn't really do anything wrong, but she left him in a terrible way. And now he's getting his life back together, and he's a sweetheart of a villain. And that's why Bane works so well, because Bane can always be the comic relief. You never need a sweet moment with Bane.
Yeah. And I guess also on Harley Quinn, Bane is kind of like usually on his own mission in a weird way. Like he's in his own. He's not in the main plot. He's kind of like in his own show, but yet it works. But he's actually involved in the plot most of the time.
No, he is. Dude, I'm sorry. I just had a flashback of the episode where he becomes the pasta maker,
Yes.
and he has that moment where I came to Italy searching for the pasta maker, and I have become the pasta maker.
That's great.
Sorry, Bane's my favorite.
All right. Well, I mean, 2 episodes left in the season.
I mean, what else? That's it. Couple B-side things. Queen of Fables gets her head back.
Yes.
Because they come across this alien race of insectoid creatures that mate and kill you, and they took her head and she got it back, and they were going to kill the guy, the mafia guy with the 2 heads who now has 1 head, and she saved him, and he's pissed, and they're hooking up. Joe.
Yeah.
But she gets her head back and her Fable's back, and she calls out Goldilocks.
Dude, how fucking annoying was Goldilocks? Holy shit. I mean, Lex seemed like he was going to snap.
So it was so good. And even Villigan was like trying, like, no, it's okay. Just get another seat, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And then she snaps. But of course, it leads to Mr. Bane, you were just right.
And I'm just wondering how, like, are they going to, in the next episode, is she going to still be with him? Are they going to find a way to incorporate Goldilocks?
I hope so. Oh, I fucking hope so. I hope Bane adopts her, because this isn't the Bane show, but it could be. And we skipped some prime time Bane stuff here, where he's babysitting Goldilocks, and he takes her to like the pretty much the Kinko's, for anyone who remembers when you needed to go and get shit printed. And the guy keeps giving her lollipops, and she's like, "This one's too sour. This one's too sweet. This one's just right." And Bane is like, "No, but you know that is not necessary. I need to get these printed." And then the guy's like, "All right, well, it's closing time. You have to go." And he was like, "But the closing hours will be your reckoning." This primetime Bane stuff.
Well, I mean, in episode 7, it was a lot of the stuff with him being made over and stuff like that was pretty. I mean, that was a lot of his comedic like moments, right? And then him meeting up with the dominatrix in episode 6. And also, by the way, you find that he has nipples clamped at some point, kind of like on the low.
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
Of course, because the Bane suit's an S&M suit. Come on.
Yes.
You can't convince me otherwise.
Well, and actually, when he was now that you mentioned in episode 8, right? When he was going to he went to that FedEx Kinko's basically, and was going to go ahead and print out his whole plan to show to Lex Luthor and Villigan, because that he thought he was getting back in Legion of Doom, but he wanted to print it out though. He didn't want it to be like on digital or anything like that. So when he goes there though, and the guy tells him it's closed, he does actually turn on the Venom, and he gets huge.
He does, yeah.
And he's about to go ape shit, but then he doesn't want to do it in front of Goldilocks, and
that's right.
and gets small again. Well, small for him, but
small for him. That's right.
Yeah.
He did. I was great Bane moments. I love Bane. # Bane forever.
And that was the only time I think I remember seeing him actually do the Venom.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Right.
because I think that's why I didn't clock it, because he was getting bigger, and he's so big, and like they've now that I'm thinking, they've gone out of their way to make him bigger without the venom, like when he was fucking buildings.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, when he was fucking buildings in the East.
It's such a crazy show, man.
All right. Well, more Kite-Man to come, as we got episode 2 more episodes left. Hopefully they do the season 2 and that continues. And hell yeah is right. All right, so another animated show, this one from Marvel that is on Hulu, is Marvel's Hit Monkey, and they do the thing where they drop the entire season at once. So I guess we'll just go, again, speaking generalities over the entire season, because, I mean, to go beat by beat would probably be a bit. Overall, I dug this season. I think they were doing some difference. I feel like this one was more graphic than season 1.
Yeah,
it seemed like there was a bit more. They turned the violence up a little bit, which I'm not. It's not a knock at all. But I thought there, and I'm guessing this is probably some sort of thing coming out. Because I know Kevin Feige doesn't really like totally locked in on Hit Monkey and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we open where there's a deal made with the devil. Okay.
Yes.
And I have to imagine. Come on. It should have been Mephisto, and it's not. Though.
It should have been Mephisto.
Which is kind of a little bit frustrating.
It should have been.
We could have had our Mephisto.
I mean, but again, we don't know what characters they can use.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's an order down. Yeah, saying like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, because this is obviously in a completely separate universe from anything that we actually are engaged with in the MCU, right? Like, so this is obviously way, way, way off. But
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm okay with the characters we got. I mean, I would have liked to do a bit Mephisto, but I don't know. Maybe the theme of this show is that we never get Mephisto, and maybe even worse, when we do, that has to be the last episode.
Right? We can finally take our victory lap in the last episode of Hit Monkey.
Because we've had Mojo. Mojo's made an appearance, so I'm good.
Yeah, that's true. We did get Mojo. I mean, we sort of got Mephisto with the Nick Cage Ghost Rider.
No, come on.
Hey, I mean, that's who he's supposed to be, but no. We need a grand Mephisto.
We need a grand Mephisto.
But
it could have been. It could have been. It should have been. I agree with you.
Yeah. So Bryce makes a deal with the devil so he can go ahead and get some of his time back. But the thing is, he has to give the devil souls, and he basically, he basically has a killing machine on his hands with Monkey. So that's the way it's going to be. He's going to have Monkey kill for him. In exchange, he gets, I forgot how many hours it was, but he has a limited amount of time.
He gets 48 hours.
48 hours. Right.
10 of which he burns right away by falling asleep drunk on his bed and forgetting to turn back into a ghost.
Which I thought was hilarious. That they just burned it off like that.
I did too. I'm going to say, like, overall, I thought this season was phenomenal. And you know me, like, cartoons are usually a hard, rough sell. I've always just liked this. I like the style, I like the characters, I like the humor. So, yeah, that was my overall.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I do think that this season did a lot of world building, because the scene does shift from Japan to New York. Now we get to see a lot of Bryce's history, and with his time back, we do find out he has a daughter that he wants to spend time with. There is that. Leslie Jones is also introduced in this season. As,
and she's great.
Eunice, Eunice, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, you know me. I never get anyone's names, but she's pretty much the handler. She was Bryce the ghost. She's the ghost handler when he was alive as a hitman. So So she's the handler. She gets the jobs, and he's pretty much bringing Monkey to her and convinces her that he's still there. So that was, I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's just so he can get his, pay off his debt that he has with the devil here. Which, by the way, the devil is pretty sure that was Keith David.
What?
I think that. Yeah, I'm trying to just confirm that here with the cast, because I know we had Keith David just as Darkseid in Kite-Man and everything like that.
Right.
Yeah, Keith David is the devil in this. So Keith David continuing to get lots of voice work in comic book shows.
Good for him. He deserves it. He's a good voice actor.
No, he really is. So that, and then again, we get a lot of Bryce's thing, and I think a lot of the heart of this season is a lot of Bryce with his daughter.
Yeah, agreed.
It is.
And I thought some of it's pretty beautiful. Like,
yeah,
he really is trying to get back in her life, and there's this whole thing where he has this grift with an old friend of his who is his superpower is aging. No, his superpower is slowing down time. Mm-hmm. And if you take in a piece of his bodily fluid, which is gross, time slows down for you as well. And so he's using it to fix boxing matches by spitting the boxer's mouth guard.
Mouthpiece.
And like, because the boxer's mouthpiece, like, you're getting his ass kicked, and then he puts that in, and he's just like boop boop boop, bang bang bang, and the guy he's not even moving. And so Bryce's whole plan is to, all right, we're gonna tap this guy that I used to con with, and we're gonna go fight. We're gonna go hit this guy, because so Monkey is like kind of leaving Bryce, and he's gone off on his own thing with this like commune of hitmen.
Yeah,
the co-op, which they wind up being the bad guys at the end. But I love the fact that Bryce is trying to get him back, and so God, I lost track of I just lost track of my what I was saying. I'm sorry. I was getting so deep into what I was saying, like going back and back and back and back. So we were talking about.
You were talking about the this basically when Bryce is there and he has the dude, his friend over there who's spitting in their mouthpieces.
Oh, that's it.
Monkey has to take one. Yeah,
that's it. And so because they have to take out this guy who can see 3 minutes into the future, or like a minute into the future, or whatever. And so they use the aging guy to even the score so they can beat this guy. And Bryce has made a ton of money that he's going to give to his daughter, which is my original point. And he winds up having to give it to his friend to save Monkey, because this guy's like, I'm aging crazy. It's not worth it. I'm getting the fuck out of here unless you give me that money. And so Bryce goes back and he's like, well, I'm sorry. I have nothing. I'm just going to apologize. And the daughter opens the door, and this is the beautiful moment. I know it was a long, long way that even I lost my train of thought. But this was a beautiful moment. She opens the door and she goes, wow, I'm glad that you just came here like a person and talked to me, and you didn't, like, I don't know, try to buy your way into my life. And I was like, see, his good deed went unpunished and rewarded. And this whole moment of like, now I actually, his daughter being, okay, come on in. I know, that was a great moment.
Yeah, I think that is a lot of the heart of this. And also and I kind of felt like Bryce was more front and center than Monkey this season, even though Monkey gets his due towards the end, because we also find out like that Monkey was with his parents and was taken away from them, which I didn't see coming, to be honest with you, whatsoever.
Me neither.
When there's this whole like time travel episode that's going on there, because like you had mentioned, the co-op, the kind of like superhero team that Monkey falls in with, ends up becoming, we find out they're the villains. Their whole thing is they're also working with the devil and trying to basically say humanity's fucked. Very League of Assassins like. And we're going to start from the beginning, right? We're going to just basically burn it all down and start over, and we're going to wipe out humanity. And then the animals will be free, and that's their selling point to Monkey. And that's where they show him that, to kind of say, look, humans are bad. Like, look what remember what they've done to you and everything like that. And he, whatever. I mean, obviously the, good guys go ahead and Monkey and everybody ends up saving the day. But throughout a lot of this, though, we also get a revenge plot from Olivia Munn's Akiko, who Monkey murdered her father in season 1. She comes back and picks up the mantle of Lady Bullseye, who also has original Lady Bullseye as her Bryce and her ghost on her shoulder.
I thought that was insane. I didn't see that coming. Watching Lady Bullseye tutor her, and then like the betrayal at the end, where she's like, "Okay, I've learned what I can from you." She's on this boat, and she's like, "All right," and she just dives into the water. And as we know, like they're kind of pulled wherever their human goes, or what a corporeal being goes, and she's pulled into the salt water. And as they said it before, salt destroys spirits.
Yep. What the hell's going on? She's always got a lot to say.
She's the third co-host.
I think at times she is, or she aspires to be at least, because she did watch Hit Monkey also. I'm sure she has her own thoughts.
Okay. No, yeah. So if we understood what she was saying, I'm sure it's brilliant. Smarter than anything I've said.
Yeah. So then there's trying to think what else it is. So yeah, basically through their whole, they get these relics basically that are from around the earth, and they have to go ahead and forge them together, and in this whole like device, and that's where everything goes to shit. And basically, the Earth, Mother Earth, it looks like it's being returned, right? Like there's like plant life everywhere and stuff like that, and like people are dying left and right. They're essentially getting, looks like they're getting turned into plants, and then they kind of like die. They get killed like that. And the leader of the co-op is like this former boy band guy who was like, working for the government. Boone, his name is.
Yeah, and he had a brother who also works for the government, and there was a third brother that comes into play. But it was literally like the episode of The Simpsons. Like join the Navy when they were the boy band.
Yes,
like they're like a boy band turned assassin.
Yeah,
assassins.
And that, I mean, I guess that's kind of where his thing goes. There's also another guy called Double Tap, who was an assassin who we also find out did murder the cops. The cops.
Yeah.
Father, was it?
Well, no, he gunned down her whole precinct.
That's what it was. He gunned down that's what it was.
Yeah. Because he was reclaiming, he was getting the sword.
Yep.
Or he was trying to get the sword. She has the sword.
Yeah.
And there's a whole subplot, which I thought was really interesting. And with that, where when she uses the sword, she gets power, but it kind of corrupts her. She decides to give it up. And that's winds up what gets her killed.
Yeah. She turns into this like whole ancient samurai thing and starts going like, crazy with that. And yeah, and the thing is that and I guess the twist at the end of this whole thing is that Monkey ends up dying at the very end, and Bryce ends up coming back.
Yes,
because the devil wants his soul, I guess, instead.
Yeah, because well, that's the thing, is like he had no use for Bryce, and he wound up getting Monkey's soul, but of course now Monkey is haunting Bryce.
Yes,
and we see that at the end, and
Bryce
is back. Yeah. And Bryce is back, and he's got his daughter, and I which I like. I like that there's a little community being built. I'm really curious what they're going to do. I hope it gets to season 3, because I want to see this. I kind of want to see it resolved. I like Monkey a lot. I don't want it to end with he just died.
Yeah, I really, and again, for I don't know what the streaming ratings are or whatnot and stuff like that. But I do hope they get a season 3. If anything, if that's going to be the last season, if that's how it goes,
just let him wrap it up.
Yeah, I am curious to see how an entire season of this plays out, right? Because we're always used to having Bryce with. By the way, Jason Sudeikis as Bryce with the cultural reference, wisecracks, and like that. He is fucking phenomenal, and I would imagine really a lot of that is improvised as well.
Would not be surprised.
No, not at all. But now, and the thing is, when Monkey, all everyone hears is, like him making monkey sounds and stuff. And Bryce is the only, it's like Han and Chewie almost, right? But
Right.
now the roles are reversed where now, like, so what is Monkey constantly telling Bryce on the other side?
I think Monkey's going to be his conscience. Because out of the two of them, Monkey's the more moral.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah. Like, the whole reason Monkey wanted to join the collective was because he wanted to lay the violence down.
Yeah.
So, and Bryce was just like, no, you got to kill. And he's manipulating even what he says, the closest thing he's ever had to a friend who cares about him. Because the whole journey of this season is everyone hated Bryce when he was alive.
Yeah.
Including his daughter.
Yeah, no, it's true. Everyone hated Bryce, and the character growth for Bryce to becoming like, a respectable human being, I guess, by the end of the season.
Right. And so I think like what's going to happen, I think the way the season might play out is, Monkey's going to be his moral compass, and like kind of keep him on the right. And I don't know, hopefully, because I want the happy ending. I don't always want the happy ending. I don't always think it's deserved.
Yeah.
I've seen Monkey's past, right? The monkey had a raw deal, right?
He did.
And he's a great character, and I want to see him happy. And Bryce is a douchebag, but he's a lovable douchebag. I'm hoping the way this ends is they both go to heaven at the end of the season or series.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see where, like, I would imagine this, I don't know. It's obviously it's a high concept show, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know how many seasons you can have before, it gets dull, because I've enjoyed the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe a season 3, maybe 4. Again, obviously it depends on the popularity of the show. Which
to be honest, I don't care how many more they give us. I just want one.
You
more
want the resolution, yeah.
I just want the resolution. Like if they say, season 3 is going to last, we're going to resolve what happened, and it's going to be a 3-season thing, and that's our story.
Mm-hmm.
Chef's kiss. That's all I need. I want it to be resolved. I just don't want it to be like. And that's, and they were never seen or heard from again because no one made another season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that does suck. Even if you give them like an abbreviated season.
Give us a short, give us something. Give us a fucking 2-hour movie. Just something to resolve where the writers thought this was going. I mean, because this was good. This was really good. These first 2 seasons, and again, I'm not a cartoon guy.
No.
But these first 2 seasons hooked me right away. The characters were excellent. The cameos were a lot of fun, but not like Bane, where it's like I'm laughing. Like Silver Samurai from the first season. I wasn't laughing at him, but that was a weird, fun cameo,
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Because we, again, this, even though it's Marvel's Hit Monkey, like, you can tell, like, it doesn't feel like you're in the Marvel universe until you get like a Lady Bullseye and Silver Samurai and stuff like that.
Right. Which I like that. Like I as much as I like the MCU, I really kind of wish they'd do more what if Elseworld things that was more like this and less like the what if that we get. Because that's cool and all, but that's like what if we were putting together 6 different connected what if stories to give you a season of progress? You know what I mean? But I like these one-offs where it's just like it's nothing to do with the MCU. It's a different tone, a different style, but it's a lot of fun that's there if you like it.
This is
I
super
really dig
R-rated.
about this.
Yeah, this is super R-rated, from the language to the violence to everything all over. So, I mean, if you haven't found this show, check out Hulu and check out Hit Monkey, because I mean,
definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, we definitely would suggest it. And it does get this very cool, stylized feel to it between the music and the animation, everything like that. Like, it doesn't even feel like a Marvel property, like, whatsoever.
No,
it is
not at all. And the fact that it's like it's a character that I personally only know from this. I did not know this character existed before we started covering the show.
Neither did I.
And I think that adds to it because it's like, okay, yeah, they do. Like, I'm seeing characters I know. I know Bullseye, so I can extrapolate Lady Bullseye. I know Silver Samurai. Those are the 2 that pop out. I've known other, we've known other characters, a couple of cameos, but it's like the fact is, I don't know these characters, and they're so foreign to me, and it's so interesting. And again, I wish Marvel would do that. Go get the weird characters you think no one wants to see shit about, and don't do a movie about them. But give me 2 seasons of like Pip the Troll.
This is true. Wow, Pip the Troll. That would be a show. That would be a show.
I mean, look, Adam Warlock would show up. He'd probably have an Infinity Stone in his pocket and be happy to see us.
All right. Wow, and I guess that takes us to our movie of the week.
Oh wait, but there was monkeys, and they were hitting things. And, there's plenty of things to cover. We can't move on yet.
Oh, but Jason,
is it time?
It is time. Unfortunately, I think it is.
All right. All good things, Jean-Luc.
All right. So not yesterday, but the Monday prior, Jason and I caught a matinee of The Crow. Yes, the 2024 edition. Spoiler warning across the bottom, just in case you have not seen it. If you have any aspirations of seeing it.
Oh no, spoiler, don't.
Yeah. This would be a really tough one to recommend because I think, and I texted this to Jason and to Rick on the side, in our group text. The best way to sum this thing up, 30 hours of pain all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not good. In a year where we watched Madam Web, Borderlands, and this.
Yeah.
It's tough. It is tough. And I also saw Night Swim this year. I've seen other shit this year as well that we don't even really get into on the show. This was really, really, really hard to watch. I mean, it was pretty bad.
This is the second worst thing I've seen in the theater this year. Second worst. You know.
I know you were nice. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the first is Madam Web, and I know you. I think it's you do have a soft spot for Borderlands. Yeah.
I do. Yes, I do have a soft spot. It was terrible. No one should see it, but I at least as a fan of that property went, hey, look, they're come to life. Badly, but here they are. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'll give that, but I don't know, Ed. Do you really think this is better than Borderlands? Like, honestly.
All right. So I was thinking about this recently, right? Like, remember, I have no connection to Borderlands whatsoever. I know flying fuck about Borderlands at all. I know it's a video game and I was better. And I guess my positives about Borderlands was some of the action sequences were okay, they were passable. The positive thing I could say about The Crow, this version of The Crow, I'm gonna be very specific about that because I don't want to besmirch anything else. Was the final battle with Eric, and I don't know if they ever referred to him as Draven at any point in this.
No, they don't. I was waiting for it. It's Eric and Shelley, but you never get the Draven.
Okay, so that saves some of it. Like this much of it.
It saves nothing for me. This was
No. But remember, like I'm gonna get to the explanation of why that would bother me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But
you're right.
The final battle I thought was pretty cool. Like it was well choreographed. It was a cool action sequences, and that big long action sequence at the end of the film. But I was already checked out for about an hour and a half already, so it was way too little, way too late at that point. But that's the positive I will say about that. So I guess my positives are about the same for both because I think both movies are terribly written. I don't think. I mean, I don't really Borderlands. I can't really. From what I understand about the original characters, the source material, it seems like there's a lot of miscasting. And when we talked it through, it seemed like you were on board with
it's
that.
terrible.
I don't know if Bill Skarsgård is miscast as much as he's given absolutely nothing to work with.
I'm going to say this. So you talked about your positive. I'm going to talk about my positive.
Yeah, that's all.
And it's Bill Skarsgård.
Okay.
Right? It's like, I agree with you that was a cool action scene, but it happens so late, and it's not enough to get me interested. So I don't even count it as a good thing because it comes too late for me. Skarsgård, I think, is the best part of this movie, but he's also the worst, not through any fault of his own. He's given nothing to do. Like, we all know this man can act the shit out of fucking anyone, right? Like Pennywise. It's not an easy role. He was menacing and funny and physical. Like, that's his wheelhouse. This should be his wheelhouse. We should be walking away going, holy shit, you know what? We never got the Brandon Lee like legacy that we deserved for this series, but here's Skarsgård to pick it up. That's what we should be saying. But the fact that he is given no direction and a script that someone must have just wiped their ass with when, like, after eating other bad fucking action movies, because this is just regurgitation and not even other bad action movies, just other bad dramas. This wasn't even an action movie. So he is the positive for me. I actually think he's a great actor who is cast perfectly in a shitty version of a movie that should have been better for him.
Yeah, and Bill Skarsgård, like, I just had to just double check. Yeah, both It and It Chapter 2. Earlier this year, he was in Boy Kill, and I was last year actually. It was Boy Kills World, which I actually very much liked him in as well. I don't remember him in the Eternals, to be honest with you. Yeah, I remember briefly in Deadpool 2. And then John Wick Chapter 4, he's in as well. And so I've liked him in a lot of stuff. No, he is. He's a really good actor. This is not on him at all. The issues with this is the pacing of this movie is dreadful. Like, it is. They choose to focus.
God. Oh my God.
It is painful. And they went a different route. They decided to, instead of through flashbacks, give us the Eric and Shelley love story. They let us watch it. Which, okay. Oh, yeah. I will say maybe on paper that sounds like an interesting concept, but holy shit, but it is executed terribly.
What are you talking about? I can't tell. Look, I'm not gonna. I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. I'm going to talk about How I Met My Wife. It's a beautiful story about how my wife was arrested for drug use or possessing drugs, and I, a known drug addict, junkie, was also in the same facility. We don't know why I was there. Maybe I put myself in there. Maybe I didn't. We don't know. But the people coming to kill my wife came, and she sought me out, and we escaped and went right back to her apartment and started using again. Isn't that the best love story you've ever heard?
Holy shit. It's just completely... And by the way, let's just get into the incompetence, because you brought up... There's two major incompetent points of this film, and you just touched both of them. Okay? Number one, right? They're in this rehab prison... drug, whatever the fuck they're locked up in.
She certainly was not there by choice. Yeah. And although they never say it, we are not given any indication he is either, because he is tortured there by the other inmates.
And that's another thing. So, point one. They, like you said, so basically Shelley witnesses, she's seen on this video doing something.
Oh my God, we didn't even get into the video yet.
Oh, we're not even there yet. So,
God, okay.
Let's just break down the plot then, right? And the incompetence in this plot. So the whole premise is Shelley's seen on this video that's out there. And the villain of the film is also on this video, and they want the video back, right? So they're trying to wipe out and kill everybody who was involved in this video, who has knowledge of it. So I guess this guy is not seen or anything like that. And we don't know the full context of the video for a good chunk of the movie, but she is being chased down by the villain's henchmen, and to escape them, she drops her drugs on the floor and is apprehended and brought to the aforementioned rehab / prison / whatever the fuck is going on there. And that's where we meet Eric again, because we see Eric briefly as a child in the opening of this film.
Oh,
we don't know
we
don't know anything about it. There was a horse,
Yeah.
there's Eric, and something happens. Flash forward.
Yeah, there's a horse, and it's wrapped in barbed wire, and it's hurt. And he tries to get the barbed wire off, and he cuts his hands, and he keeps cutting to his parents that are doing like junkies strung out in their motor home, and I guess the horse dies. And then when you see him, you just see like the scars in his hand and the boy, like barbed wire. But this all goes to nothing.
Yeah, because it leads to nothing. Because then we don't see Eric until he's an adult in this facility where we catch it, where Shelley, again evades her captors and gets put in this place. So they meet up. Everyone in this place hates Eric for some reason that never gets explained. Maybe the reason's on the cutting room floor. I don't know. I hope so. All right. I'm hoping it was shot at some point and written, because if it wasn't, that's even much worse. But that never gets explained. And then they decide that after the people track her down, right, in this place, her captors find her later. Eric's just like, oh, you want to leave? Let's just go right through this fucking exit, and that's it. They leave. Super easy.
It's even
barely an inconvenience.
I'm going to say this. It's even worse, because they get into the laundry room, and Eric is like, all right, if you're going to leave, yeah, I'll take your... They're all tagged with homing devices, because this is a prison place, possibly.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We never find out.
But Eric goes... don't worry about it. Hand wave. Eric goes, we're in the laundry room. Just get out those windows. And he goes, I'll take your thing off. And he takes her bracelet off, whatever it is, and goes, you know what? I don't want to stay here either. And he takes his off. Like, it's that easy. Like, he literally just goes, I don't want to stay here either.
And they just leave, and they walk out, and guess what? Ready? Plot twist. Nobody's looking for them. Not the authorities. No. Nobody ever tracks them down. They go to like...
The only law enforcement in this whole movie, there are only two law enforcement people in this whole movie. One is the person who arrests the girl in the beginning, and two is the corrupt cop. That's it. No one else is looking for these people.
Yeah, and they go ahead and they go to like her rich friend's place, and they stay there. So they go right back to the place where everybody could, from the people who might be looking for them, are looking for them. And they decide to go right back there. They have a chance to run away and escape, and they choose not to do this. And then they are living it up with their friends, and they're getting high, and they're doing fucking Molly and all this other shit.
They stay there long enough to go on vacation.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that happened, but they come back. They're drinking champagne and doing fucking, like I said, Molly or whatever, right? In the place that everyone knows this woman lives in, because that's where she is, and that's where they eventually find her when they want to find her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out with friends, like camping.
Yeah, I don't.
And there's this moment of like, why can't we just do this forever, babe? And it's like, what? How long has it been since you've escaped the mental institution? The rehab facility.
You could have done this forever if you would have left the city that you were in originally, but you chose not to, because that's fucking genius. And they do that, and then of course we know what's coming next, because it is the Crow, or supposedly, that they catch them and they both get murdered. Okay,
and that's Can I say that that's the worst part, Ed, is it is the Crow, and we know that's going to happen, and it takes an hour to fucking happen, literally. Right? Like, what did I say? This was a 2-hour movie. It was an hour till they die, and an hour and a half till any crowing happens. happens.
Yeah.
The pacing, way too bad. Why do I have to see the intricacies of her fucking what she eats for breakfast? Kill them and start the croning.
And then when the croning happens, and I'm going to borrow that term from you.
No, it's PC. It's fair use now.
This Eric, we're just going to call him Eric because we won't call him Eric Draven because that would be to besmirch the character of Eric Draven. Is not very confident in his powers whatsoever, unlike the OG. That
dumb as dog shit.
Yeah,
he's dumb.
Like, dude, you find out you're invincible. Like, why do we need to have him? I know he gets hurt. We get an explanation for that. There's this. If you look at the poster behind us, like, that's a lot of this in between thing where he meets this random dude who kind of is like the guy in between worlds, who's telling him about what his powers are. I guess or exactly exposition guy, and he's telling him about this stuff. But then also they decide from the original concept of the crow is the thing that gives him his power. Now it's your love for Shelley. So if you lose love in her, right? If your love fades, then your powers weaken, which told me right off the bat, Shelley was involved in this killing or whatever was going on in the video.
Well,
you knew it right away.
She also said, "I hurt people. I can't tell you about it. I don't know why I did it, but I hurt people." He's like, "It's okay, babe. I love you so much. Our love is so real. Like when we took drugs together after knowing each other for 6 days in the rehab center and broke out together. That's real love."
It was
fucking craziness.
Pretty brutal.
No, I hate their relationship so much. I hate it so much because in the original, like Eric and Shelley were like completely innocent. That's the point, right? They didn't do anything to anyone. They weren't like, and we haven't even gotten to the antagonist yet, so I won't spoil it. I'm not going to take that away from you, Ed, and what's going on antagonistically here. But like in that first movie, they, from what you knew of them, they were good people fucked in a situation they had no control over, and there was no that's the whole point. It's a tragedy. These guys are like, you're escape junkies. I don't wish death upon you. I mean, addiction is terrible, but like, I don't believe this is the greatest love of all.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the thing too, is that as much as they decided to take a different angle on this, you took an hour and change to show their love story, but it's not a believable, viable love story that is this epic all-time thing.
No.
And also, they're not very interesting characters at all.
No.
Like, we don't learn anything about Eric whatsoever.
He's not even a character, except he had a horse, and he's a junkie, and the crow now. Like, that's his character. What do we know about him? What does he do? What is his interest outside of fawning over her?
No, he just likes doing drugs and fawning over Shelley, and that's about it. Nothing else. And he had a horse.
I mean, that's the thing. And she's barely a character, too.
Yeah, they're just not interesting at all. And that's why when they get killed and what happens to them, like, you just don't care. You're not really invested in it. And you've spent over an hour finding for this buildup. And when it happens, there's no emotional payoff whatsoever to it. And then on his thing with the crow, like, so I actually was so pissed off with this movie. I went back and rewatched the original for the first time in like 20-something years. Okay? And it made me even more mad at this movie. Like, you got the original Eric Draven, who was once he finds out he has an idea that he can't get hurt and can't die, he becomes very confident and kind of cocky about it. And he's like, I have a mission. I am going to kill the people that wronged me, and I'm going to do my thing. This guy, this Eric, just has no idea what's going on, keeps getting knocked back into this middle world, and you also start explaining the whole crow mythology to the point where it doesn't need to be explained. It's real simple. It doesn't. You guys took an entirely different approach and just shit the bed with it.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like all you need is, they say a crow will take the dead from the living who has unfinished business. That's something I heard. You whisper that in the beginning of the movie, and then you show it to me. All right, that's it. You have established the rule of your world, and you have followed through with it. And as anyone who listens to the show knows that I'm huge on that. That's all I need. I don't need an hour of mythology. And they still, what did they give us? There's an in-between world. Crows have power.
Well, no.
That's all, they didn't give us anything.
Well, hold on. Crows have somewhat power, but it's really about your love.
Oh, right. The love. Yeah, right.
Yes,
right.
It's about the love because, this one was really trying so hard to make it all about the love. And then when Eric sees the video and we find out that the protagonist, the villain here, played by Danny Houston,
oh God,
right,
which is wasted.
Wasted.
Danny Houston is wasted.
No, he's completely wasted in this film. But he possesses people. He whispers in their ear and possesses them. But the thing is, that's established, and I feel like Eric knows that kind of at the point. So when he sees Shelley do what she does on the camera, can he know that she wasn't really in control? So why would his love fade then?
It made no sense. It made no sense.
No, it doesn't.
It made no sense. And I'm glad you finally brought up the antagonist, because I've been thinking about that antagonist since we went, and that is the stupidest shit I ever fucking saw. A guy who made an innocuous deal with the devil you never see to whisper into someone's ear and have them kill themselves, because that's it. And we talked about like how interesting it was in Kite-Man, the 22-minute cartoon we covered at the top, where the life equation corrupts you, and it only corrupts you if you have this innate desire. So there are some people who are incorruptible, like Kite-Man. That's interesting. This is just, I whisper in your ear, I hawk a loogie in your ear, and then you kill yourself, and I say, I'm just activating what's in there. I'm just corrupting what's in there. But it's like, so everyone wants to kill themselves? Is it because he does that 3 or 4 times, right? And at least half of the time, 3 times they kill themselves, 1 time they kill someone else.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't seem to there's no consistency to it, because I thought it was just so Shelley should have killed herself. And that should have been it.
Because everyone else did.
Yeah, except Shelley, because the film needs to happen.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. And if we had seen at least he whispered in someone's ear, and then you saw corruption go through and it changed them, and eventually they killed someone. If it was cleverly done, it would have been fine. But it's no, I whisper in your ear and you kill yourself or someone else, depending on what the plot needs. I made a deal with the devil. Don't worry about it. It never comes up again. I know all about the crow stuff. Don't worry about it. Not going to explain how. It's just the antagonist is almost the worst part of a movie that reads like I wiped my ass with a screenplay. It's so bad. And there are still parts where I'm I think that might be the worst.
Yeah, then they get to their final battle, and that's what I'll say. If for that, it's hyper violent. Once Eric finally gets some confidence in what he's supposed to be doing, then he runs through these people. But then also, though, I thought there was one interesting thing here, is that he murders all these people, but doesn't really give any of them kind of an out. Were they all complicit in this whole thing? They didn't all murder him. But he kills the people that killed him. But they're kind of there. Know what I'm saying?
Point, it's
No. I think it's because Hero needs bodies to pile up. But I
also think at that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. But the reason I bring this up is because, again, rewatching the original Crow, and I don't want to keep harping on this, because I know we're going to do a full dive on this. Is the original Eric Draven gives some guys, he's like, listen, I'm after this guy. That scene when he goes into the room and they're all around the table. He's like, I just want that motherfucker. You guys can leave if you want, but this guy, at least he gives them the out. There is no out
well,
here.
Also, the people who murder Eric Draven in the original Crow movie are characters.
Yes, it's true.
None of these people are.
Tintin.
Like, that's a thing. Tintin. Oh, Tintin's not here. Tintin's dead, right? No, that's Skank. Skank's not here. Skank's dead, right? Like, we remember these things. These were characters. The villains were characters. And so when Draven came, badass, before fucking Sting the wrestler ruined it for us and made it a wrestling ploy, when he came and he was like, I want him. The rest of you go. That's a badass, I'm throwing my dick on the table move. Like,
Yep.
You're gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm giving you the out. Like, there are no characters in this for that to make sense. We just need, like, even the closest thing. We get close. We get close. I'm 2 points where I was like, this could have been interesting. The first is when he finds the guy in the car, the bald black guy in the car.
Yes.
Who, right? And he puts the gun to his head. And I was like, holy shit. How awesome would it be if he just fucking blew this guy's brains out? Like, no, you were definitely one of the ones who killed me. Bang. He gets behind him. There's this weird interrogation scene. He accidentally shoots him. Dumb as dog shit, right? That could have been such a cool moment. And that guy could have been a character because that guy's whole thing was like, yeah, what? You're going to kill me? Go ahead. That guy was almost a character. And they almost did something interesting with that character. And then when you have the moment where after Eric finds out, like, we've killed him and now we're going to go all the way up to this other place and ambush the third guy that was in the three people who were murdered by Loogie Ear, right? Loogie Ear. I'm thinking like, oh my god, this could be cool. Okay, so he's gonna go and fucking set a trap. He's gonna wait for him to come. He's gonna come all fucking crowing out, and he's gonna beat the shit out of them. No, he runs in the middle of the street and starts shooting at their car, and then gets hit by the car, and then goes into the car and is ejected from the car. Like, that's what happened. Like, he's so bad at being the Crow, and not because he doesn't know his powers, because he's stupid.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's pretty fucking incompetent.
Yeah. Although I will give this movie one thing. I now know the origin of the coat.
That is true, because there are random shots of the coat throughout the movie, because it's like, hey, just in case you forgot that this is supposed to be the Crow, remember the coat. Remember the coat.
You know how we got the coat? Here's the coat. There was a moment where I'm sitting next to Ed watching this. It's like 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the evening. They fucking linger on this coat for the first time after, like, she takes Shelly's wearing it, Shelly gives it to him, and he's wearing it, and they take it off to make love, and they throw it on the chair, and fucking, like, centers on the coat, and I just started laughing. I was just like,
dude, I know what's funny is that, like, and like, I'm pretty silent during movies, but I actually, like, put my hand on my mouth quickly because I was thinking your reaction is exactly what was going on in my head.
So
I'm like, oh my god. You're like, just again, and I just thought it was like, hey, just in case you forgot, this is the Crow, right? Here's an image you remember of something. Anything.
But then
it's such a random thing to
flash forward an hour later, and we're getting a flashback of this scene with the same close-up of the fucking coat.
Dude, by the way, that was something that pissed Jason off to no end. That when you show flashbacks within the same film.
No.
Oh my god.
Don't show me look, do not flash back to something you showed me an hour ago. All right? I'm not fucking Guy Pearce in Memento. I can remember shit from one moment to the other. All right. If you showed me them fucking on the coat in the whatever in the beginning of the movie, you don't have to remind me an hour into it. I remember. I was there.
Yeah, because it's like, remember, I was here. I was in the seat. Maybe
fucking
they're
movie.
assuming that you fell asleep or you're so fucking bored that you don't remember.
I mean, all right. Look, in all fairness, Ed, I'm going to say this: the only reason I did not get up and leave the theater and walk around and come back was because you were sitting next to me and we had to do a show about this. Had I seen this on my own, that might have been helpful to me because I would have went outside. I would have bought concessions I didn't want because I didn't want to be in there. I might have gone out and bummed a cigarette off of someone I haven't smoked in 10 years. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if you weren't.
You know what's the best thing about that, though? My favorite thing about you saying that is the fact that the option to just leave and not come back is not on the table. You have to come back and finish the movie.
No, I have to come back. Like I have to see the majority of the movie. And I've only done this. I've only ever done this with one movie. It was the first Tomb Raider, which I saw in the Cinemark, and I was so bored by it that I got up and I pretended to go to the bathroom and I walked there because I was there with friends. I couldn't walk out, and like and they weren't leaving, but I didn't want to be in there. That's the only other movie that's ever made me want to do that, and I almost done that. But I would have come back so I could discuss the end. I'm a professional here, Ed.
That's great. All right, so whatever. The end of the movie happens. Cool fight, which again, I'll give it credit on that. But again, too little, too late. But then the end of this movie, Jason. Let's talk about the end of this movie.
So no, it's so bad.
So
before you get to the end, it's not enough because we do have to lead into this ham-fisted ending. It's not enough that his love for her brought him back, because it faltered for a little while, for like a short split second when he saw her murder a bunch of people.
Yeah,
go figure.
Very convenient.
The only way that he can do this and save her is to trade her soul for his, and anyone who gets a loogie hocked in their ear by Devilman goes to hell. So even though she's a good person, did nothing wrong, and was forced to kill beyond, outside of her will, if the loogie man hawks it in your ear, you're going to hell. So Draven's like, or Eric is like, all right, send me back. My love faltered for a second. Send me to hell instead.
That's what.
I'm sorry. Now you can tell us about the ending.
No, that was a great setup because that's what was said, but then it's not what actually happens. Because we see Eric in between the trained world, and I guess he's the guy, and he's surrounded by crows, and he just lives there for eternity. And the other part to this is really confusing because Shelley is reanimated. She's either reanimated and left there, but we don't see that. We are shown that she's brought back to when they both get murdered, and it turns out Eric was murdered instead of Shelley, and that was it. And Shelley wasn't killed. So, time travel? A multiverse? What?
Well, also, the EMT that brings her back is the same guy in the fucking Crow River universe.
Yes.
That is giving Eric all the shit. So it's like, do we have a Wishmaster scenario where this is all a fucking dream and none of this movie happened?
Jason, any of the above is possible because it's never actually explained. It's such a convoluted ending to this pile of shit. It is. I don't know what happened really at the end. I'm just telling you what we saw on screen, but it didn't really make a hell of a lot of sense by even the rules that they set.
No, and you know what I think it was too? It's like they committed to something and then went, well, we got to have it happier. Because in the original, they both still died, but we needed happier. Even though we did darker in the beginning, we needed happier at the end. But we also can't send Eric to hell, because what if this actually sells more than 4 tickets and we have to make a sequel? Shucks, we got to have that sequel set up. Going to have a franchise. Boom, 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 boom. That's what happened.
Yeah. That sounds about right, because they just didn't know what to do at the end of this movie, and guess what?
Shit!
Surprise! There will be no sequel. It's over. You fucked up the first time, and you get nothing. You lose.
I'm sorry, Gene Wilder. I'm so sorry.
You get nothing.
Awesome reference.
You didn't see that one
I
coming.
love that movie. I did not see that coming at all.
That should be it, right? When we get a movie that tries to set up a franchise moving forward.
That's right.
No! You lose! You get nothing! Fuck you, movie! That's it!
Fuck yes. This deserves a fuck you movie. I don't even think I gave a fuck you movie to Madam Web. I don't even think I gave a fuck you movie to Madam Web. Because that
No,
at least...
I don't think you did, actually.
That at least, outside of all the terrible Peter Parker blue balls we get, that at least had Julia Sweeney and interesting costumes for a minute.
Yes, it's true. For the
This was dreadful. I actually think I'm going to say this. This is a bold statement by me. I think this is worse than Madam Web.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Madam Web was terrible, but Madam Web was comically terrible at times. Madam Web's a thing that I'd be like, hey guys, my kid's in a sleepover and want to smoke a bowl and come over and do a bad movie night and watch Madam Web, and a bunch of people will, and we'll have a good time. This will never be put on in my house.
This is just going to piss people off.
This is joyless. There is no joy. Again, Madam Web is not good. It's not fun. There is certain things in it we discussed that was okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is just outside of that last fight, which I'm sorry, should have been the mid fight, because that's the fight where he learns his powers.
Yes.
Right? Like, because the whole thing about that last fight, what makes it so interesting, and we do get something like this in the original Crow, where they're just unloading on him and he's realizing, man, it hurts, but can't stop me. Yeah. And he has some cool stuff where he's like shoving people through knives that's in his chest and shit. I always love that. But like, that should have been the mid level. And then the end level should have been like, all right, now I'm the Crow.
Yeah. And none of, that's what it's just, there's just a lot of weird choices to this man. And it's just, it doesn't work on any level. Listen, kudos to Jason Momoa for getting out of this movie.
Yep.
By the way, bravo. Nice job. I'm sorry, Bill Skarsgård, you fell for it, but good on Jason Momoa.
I'm not even gonna. You know what? He didn't fall for it. He got a paycheck. He did a fine job with what he had. I'm gonna say this, Ed. I'm gonna say this proclamation now. I've been saving this. I told you I had some juice left for this. I'm saving this.
Okay.
I will break my rule. I will watch Crow City of Angels, whatever the fuck Crow 3 is.
Salvation.
There you go. Because I legitimately think this might be the Crow, the worst Crow movie. And I have to reevaluate to say that. But I will never watch another Crow movie again. If this comes out in the theater again, you got to take Rick. I'm not going to be on the episode. I will never fall prey to another fucking Crow movie again, ever.
Well, no. There will be there will be no sequel to this. But
I don't want anything in the franchise. I'm saying when they reboot it, I want nothing to do with it. I didn't want to see this. I didn't think they had anything to say after the first one, and I've been right. And I'm going to prove myself right in this rewatch. But I'm saying, like, consider this. If Michael Bay ever came back to do Transformers, I'd quit the show. If you tried to make me watch it. If they put it into the Crow movie, you try to make me watch it, I'm going to quit the show. But I will watch every other Crow movie before leading up to this one.
I will say this. I do think that there was... No, I will say that they're in the right hands. I think you can, again, because they were remaking The Crow, right, or re-envision. I will call this a re-envision. This is not a remake, right? Like it is a drastically different approach to it. Okay, there is I do think in the right hands, you can make another Crow movie, right? Like it can happen.
Yes,
but
you
would
can,
need to really you would need to really sell me that it's the right hands, like. If Fede Alvarez got a hold of The Crow for some reason, right? And this is the guy who did Alien Romulus, which is why I bring him up. And he did he did Evil Dead, right? Not Evil Dead Rise, which was awesome, but
right.
The other Evil Dead was also
the
awesome.
remake.
Yes, he now you basically brought two franchises back to life. So I will say that if Fede Alvarez is announced to direct a Crow reboot in a couple of years, I'd be like, all right, I can get on board with that.
Okay,
but
fine. That is the only way I will
very
watch
few
it.
and far in between, because this was just a steaming hot pile of garbage.
And you know what the problem is with this franchise, and for a guy who covers lots of franchises, I'm so burned by franchises recently. But
you seem to love them
this
at the same time.
It depends on the franchise.
Well, actually, no, Jason, I'll actually take that back. I think that you are very much into dissecting a franchise, because there is usually an interesting story behind the franchise.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'm just as interested in the story, and that's why when we're when we did the Freddy Krueger one on a couple weeks ago, we're going to be doing, I'll promote that at the end, but we're going to be doing the Freddy 2 this Sunday. I've been watching, even outside of Scream Queen, which I haven't watched yet. I've been watching like trailers and featurettes and documentaries, because that is my thing. Like, I'm more interested in the history and the evolution of a franchise that has ended than I am going through a franchise, unless it's something like the MCU, which I'm just a sucker for,
Well, because that's arguably the most successful franchise in cinematic history.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that and the James Bond series, I think, would be a close second, right? Because they've made, but I think the MCU is a different thing. It's a different animal. It's not just a franchise.
Very different.
As I've said, it's so, but so that's the thing. It's like I would look. I would love to do a little history of the Crow. Maybe I'll look into some history when we do some of the other ones. But like, I don't want to see this franchise extended, and it's because it's not that I don't think that it could be done well. It never has been, except for the first one. And I think the big problem is everyone's hung up on the first one. But from what I understand about the source material, like, it's not just Eric Draven. It's different people brought by the Crow. It's kind of like these different tales and stories. And like, I don't know, give me something different. This was not different. This was an emo realistic tale of a far better movie made 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you didn't call them, Aaron, I'm going to harken back to what I mentioned earlier. If you didn't call them Eric and Shelley, and you just called them fucking Sal and whatever, like, I wouldn't have cared as much. Then that automatically detaches me from any comparisons to the original. But because you chose to go that route, the comparisons to the original are now inevitable, and that makes it look worse, much worse. Because that could have been like, hey,
I agree.
Yeah, if Sal and I don't know, Joanna end up in this movie, you'd be like, all right, it's just a shitty shot at the Crow, but whatever. We can kind of like dispose of it and move on. But because you chose to go that route, you invited the comparisons, and the comparisons make you look that much worse.
And also, it's the Crow. It could be anyone, right? Like, have fun with that. Yeah. I think the problem, too, is, and we'll reevaluate, because I did say I'd watch it now, as long as I never have to watch this fucking franchise again. I'm going to watch City of Angels. I remember one of my biggest problems with City of Angels is it was a poorly written adaptation of the first one, retreading. And this, again, it's different, but it's not. It hits a lot of the same beats. Like, it could have done anything. Like, literally, you can reinvent the story and the franchise every fucking movie. And instead, they try to clone the first one, which was close to a perfect movie at the time. I mean, I haven't rewatched it in a while. Even if it's not a perfect movie, it's a fantastic movie, regardless. And everyone who's ever done a Crow movie is trying to clone that. Like, no, you can't. You can't clone it. You can't top it. It was fantastic. Try to do something different. And that's what no one is doing with this.
All right. let's on the happier times. All right.
Fuck you, Crow. Fuck you. I kill you, Crow. I kill you. Sorry. All right, I'm okay now.
We're good. We're good. We've exorcised the demons. All right. Well, thank you for joining us as always. If you joined us on the Facebook live stream, be sure to check out Granny's Peach Cheese Facebook group where we drop a lot of trailers, a lot of cool stuff. We got a lot of stuff coming up in a couple of weeks. So, we're going to be pretty busy for a little while. So come check us out there. Also check out Pop Culture Pros and popculturepros.com because that's who we are presented by. If you check this out on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. And wherever you find your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Jason and I, Ginny, will be back. And is Reg doing it? Is she on board?
No, she's
not.
She's not. Yeah. I was like, you want to watch the movie? She's like,
some might say she might be better off for it. No.
I mean, no.
No. For all the purposes we mentioned earlier, dude, I've confessed my love for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, so I'm all in. But now, if you're saying like, hey, are you watching the best movie this week? No, but it's very interesting to dissect and break down because of the story behind it is fascinating.
Agreed, and that's what I'm interested in. Yeah. But I'm going to say this. This is my prediction. I made a bold prediction. So and you guys can find out this Sunday, 8:30. But I made a bold prediction.
Oh, that's a tease, my friend.
Right. I think this is going to be a good movie. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, a good movie. The worst Freddy movie.
Interesting. Okay.
Because you know what I mean, lore and we have expectations. Yep. But I think because of what I know about the subtext, and as an English teacher, I'm a sucker for subtext. Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna wind up loving this. I think I'm gonna wind up being like, this is great. I think I'm coming out, guys. Come on,
Wow. Now that would be that is a plot twist.
I mean, I'm saving that for sweeps week.
Jesus. Oh man, I will reserve it. It is Freddy's Revenge has usually been one of my not favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but we'll see. I am watching it as an adult now. I could have a different perspective.
Shitty Elm Street movie, but I think you're still gonna hate it as an Elm Street movie. I think you might appreciate it more as a movie unto itself. If it was not named Freddy's Revenge, if it was named like, Gus from the Closet, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't have been pleasant because it was the 80s and I was being nice for the 80s, but I mean,
so Jason, this film and the podcast came up last Thursday night. I went with Nikki and TJ to go see Incubus at the Garden.
Okay.
And we met up at a bar across the street, and we were drinking pretty heavily that night, actually, I might add. And we started talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. We started talking Elm Street in general. And that's when Rick texted us about it and stuff. So it became a whole discussion point. During that, so.
What's funny is I think that's hysterical. I'm so happy. You guys are welcome. I'm so happy that we brought Friday. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 into the conversation of drunkenness. I was actually surprised because both Rick and Tim said they want to be on the show this Sunday, and Rick was not into the Friday. The I don't know why I keep doing that. The Nightmare on Elm Street, but he said he wants to be on the show.
All right, so listen. Let's see if he shows up. Let's see if Tim shows up. Tim, if you're going to show up, you got to rewatch the movie.
I got to rewatch.
They're not my rules. Oh, yeah. But
no, it's the rules of the show.
Perspective matters. Put it that way. But all right, well that's it. So check out PCP Deep Dive Sunday night, Nightmare on Elm Street. We'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, also comparisons with Scream Queen, which is a documentary specifically about the film. What I would suggest watching. Check out both because it will give you a different perspective and appreciation for it. Granny's Peach Tea will be back next week. We'll be talking about the latest episode of Kite-Man. along with
Hell
Jason. Should we go? Should we just go into The Crow? I mean, we kind of left Deadpool hanging. But
let's just finish up The Crow and then get back to Deadpool. Give me something to look forward to after The Crow.
Fair enough. All right, so we will suspend the. Well, we will get
Deadpool,
back to
Logan?
we will get back to Deadpool 2 and Logan and New Mutants. We got 3 movies left in our X-Men rewatch that we did not because things have interrupted it. But fair enough. We got plenty of time. So check us out next week then. Peace.
Hell yeah.